Isaiah Collier's rookie year was great fun, but the shooting flaw is real. And is it fatal for his career? We delve into it next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's edition of Locked on Jazz. We will do late game watch, mostly on the Knicks Detroit game, which is pretty interesting. The Clippers Nuggets series, one of the best basketball series I've seen in a long time. It is that is a different sport they are playing out there right now. Cooper is in. Flagg is in. Yes, he commits to the NBA draft. No freak show where he decides to go back to college for years. Some people were worried about that. We'll talk about some of the latest comps on him and his career. We're starting, though, with Isaiah Collier's three-point shooting, and is it a fatal flaw for his career? Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel, right now, new customers get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Isaiah Collier had a wonderful rookie year, set the Jazz record for most assists in a season. All of that. He also shot 24.9% from three. 24.9% from three. Let me put this in perspective. Of players in the NBA who play the guard, play guard, okay? Took 153-point attempts. Few. Isaiah Collier took 170, I think, last year. 170. So we can players under the age of 25. So really what we're eliminating there is a player who's a veteran, has an injury, and can't shoot for you. 150 attempts, plays the guard. Okay? Isaiah Collier's shooting year this year, in the last 10 years in the NBA, only one guard has ever shot worse from three-point. Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs' rookie year, he shot 21.4%. But Isaiah Collier's 24.9% is the worst three-point shooting by a guard in the last 10 years under the age of 25, other than Jalen Suggs. Okay. You think that's like unfair? We remove the age requirement there and just put it into any season overall. It's still the second worst season by any guard in the NBA in the last 10 years from three who took 150 attempts. Okay? So it's real. Now, let's ask two questions about this. Let me put the age requirement back in because it makes it a better search. So let's ask two questions about this. Has anyone who has shot below 30% in an NBA season prior to the age of 25 with at least 150 attempts ever become a viable three-point shooter? Right? That's the first question. Is shooting this badly in a single season historically a death nail to whether you can ever shoot in the NBA? Okay, so let's look at that. There are 27 players over the last 10 years that fall into this category. And I'll tell you who they are. You can then, the second question is certainly, has any of them had a viable career? So let's take the first question, which is, do any of them become viable shooters? And the second question is, do any of them have a viable career? We can do the same thing on Keontae's numbers later this week. So I could read you 27 names quickly, but let me give you the first summation. Four of the 27 players who fit our criteria have gone on, 15%, have gone on to be a 35% below average, but viable three-point shooter. They are DeLon Wright, who is the former Ute, if I remember correctly, he and his brother, or maybe that's his brother. No, I think DeLon Wright's the former Ute. Yeah, DeLon Wright's the former Ute. And DeLon Wright, in his second year in the NBA, in his fourth year in the NBA, combined to shoot 29.8% between multiple teams. The only question I would have here on DeLon Wright is in his three previous years, he shot 39, 33, and 37%. That doesn't feel quite the same. Isaac Okoro of Cleveland, barely a guard, but we'll give it to him, has become a 35% three-point shooter. Spot up, corners only, not off the bounce, catch and shoot, corner three shooter. Was terrible when he came out of Auburn. Cam Thomas, gunner out of Auburn, came into the league his first year, could not make a shot, is now a 20-point-a-game bona fide big-time scorer in the league. In his last 2 years, he scored 23 and 24. His first year in the league, in 67 games, he shot 27% from three on 174 attempts. Now, that might be the most hope. Worth noting, he was not a great shooter at LSU, not Auburn, out of LSU. Okay. So that one, let's put that one on the ledger of feels good about it. Malik Monk. Now, the Malik Monk one is kind of like the DeLon Wright one that makes you question. Malik Monk's first year in the league, he shoots 34% from three. His second year, he shoots 33%. In his third year in Charlotte, he shoots 28% from three. And then bounces back and is now a 35% three-point shooter. The last one that's close is Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole, in his rookie year with the Warriors, shot 27.9%. And has since then has broken 35, 36, and then went back to 33 and 33 and had a decent year this year. He's now at 34.5. So he's not at 35 all the way. He's kind of around up. That's not great. So DeLon Wright and Malik Monk both hit there when they've suddenly done it in their third year. They have the problem with a track record that says yes. Isaac Okoro has developed into a standstill shooter. Jordan Poole maybe has developed a 35.4 point, and Cam Thomas counts. There are 6 players who have moved to 33 to 35% in their careers. De'Aaron Fox is one of them. Andrew Nembhard falls into this category because this last year he shot 29%, but his 2 previous years he shot well over 35%, so I don't think he does. Dennis Schroeder, in his 4th year after having established 37, 32, and 34, had a bad year, so he falls into this category. It's not just rookie years. Armani Brooks, who was out of the league very shortly. Jalen Suggs is up to 33%. So there's 6 guys who've gotten between 33 and 35. They are De'Aaron Fox, Andrew Nembhard, not a great comp because of what I talked about. Dennis Schroeder, not a great comp because of what I talked about. Armani Brooks out of the league. Jordan Poole fell into this category. And Jalen Suggs is at 33%. Jalen Suggs might be the one where we have to look at and be the most hopeful. So Of the 27 players in the last 10 years who have taken 150 threes in a year, been 25 years or younger, and shot sub 30%, 37 of them have gotten to 33%. 33% is borderline, by the way. League average is 36%. There's not that many guards in the NBA shooting less than 33% from three in this league. Like, in fact, it's worth looking. I would guess there's almost none. That's question one. Does anyone become a viable shooter? Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas has become a viable shooter at 35% after one of these 27. Here are the other players, by the way. Trey Jones is at 31. Marcus Smart's at 32% for his career. Josh Okogie's at 30. Andrew Harrison was at 29. Furkan Korkmaz is at 29. Jalen Noel is at 32. Talen Horton-Tucker's at 30. DeAndre Bembry's at 28%. Dwayne Bacon's at 31. Killian Hayes out of the league at 28. Theo Maledon, 31. Josh Christopher, 27. Armani Brooks, 33. Josh Jackson, 29. Jarrett Culver, 28. Ty Jerome, by the way, falls into this, and he's on fire at 46%. He had 2 weird years. Those are the other players. It's interesting to see De'Aaron Fox in there. De'Aaron Fox, 33% career three-point shooter is not great. So the question number 2 is, have players who've had years like this had viable NBA careers? Or is Isaiah Collier's shooting flaw fatal to his career path? Next on Locked On Jazz. Today's edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also located in Logan and in Linden. The Murdochs have been in Utah for over 80 years. The Murdochs are bringing you the no regrets experience to make sure that you get everything you want. We're bringing you the VIP treatment over at Murdoch. So if you're heading to Linden, if you're heading to Logan, if you're heading to 4646 South State Street in Murray, and you're looking for a car right now, make sure that we get you set up with the VIP experience that you deserve by being a Locked On every day. The Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6 are the leaders in the electric world. You're seeing the 5 bouncing around everywhere. It is hot. The Sonata and the Elantra are the sedans, and the SUV lineup's incredible. I'm driving the Santa Fe right now. It is fabulous. It is all at Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also in Logan and in Linden. Email me first at dlock09@gmail.com to get your VIP experience over at Murdoch Hyundai. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. Are we ready? Here's the deal. NBA playoffs, and right now, you place your first $5 bet, and you get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's right. Find a $5 bet, and you know you're going to win, and you get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking your favorite team, driving player props, seeing if Oklahoma City is going to win by 40, from three-pointers to steals to assists. FanDuel has many ways to bet your favorite player props. After the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into the same game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today when your first $5 bet wins. I would love to give you advice on how to have a $5 bet win, but I'm not allowed to do that as an NBA employee, so I will just leave it out. But Indiana's a 4.5-point favorite. The Thunder are a 14.5-point favorite. And the Lakers are a 5.5-point favorite for that one tonight. Can't wait to watch that game tonight. That is all at FanDuel.com. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps and on YouTube. If you like anything you've heard so far, 5-star review would be greatly appreciated. All right. So, whether Isaiah Collier becomes a viable 33 to 35% three-point shooter feels unlikely, right? Not guaranteed. I think the Jazz have actually shown a propensity for really impressively teaching shooting. I think that's kind of an exciting aspect of things, is that we're beginning to see that out of the Jazz staff, that maybe they actually have something that knows how to teach shooting in a way that will be exciting. The other thing on this is that Isaiah Collier has some really special skills. By the way, in the last segment, I made the comment, how many guards? By the way, the other one that's important here is that Stephen Castle of San Antonio could win Rookie of the Year, falls under this category for all the same conversation. Here are the guards. There were 19 guards last year in the NBA that shot below 33% from three. That's all. 19 guards who shot below 33% from three and took at least 150. Okay. Ayo Dosunmu in Chicago shot 32.8. Malik Monk, 32.5. Worth noting, he was on this list of guys who had that. Delano Banton in Portland. Russell Westbrook. Jamal Shedd, rookie in Toronto. Keyshawn George, rookie in Washington. Anthony Black in Orlando. He should be concerning. Keon Johnson. Jalen Suggs. D'Angelo Russell. Shaden Sharp. Kevin Porter Jr. De'Aaron Fox. Ja Morant. DeJounte Murray, before he got hurt, 31 games into the season. Terry Rozier, Andrew Nembhard, Stephen Castle, and Isaiah Collier. Isaiah Collier shot 24.9%. Stephen Castle shot 28.5%. Andrew Nembhard, 29.1%. Terry Rozier, 29.5%. And DeJounte Murray, 29.9%. Those were the only players under 30. Okay. Does this preclude a viable career? Probably not, but it's an issue. So if we look at players from in the last 20 years who have shot sub 30% from three on 153 point attempts, do they have a good career? Okay. There have been 21 of those players in 20 years. Michael Carter Williams, viable career, played for the tanking Philadelphia 76ers in the beginning of the process, never was great at that. Mario Chalmers did it at 31 years old for Memphis. Baron Davis did it 30 years old for the Clippers, coming off an ACL, so I'm not sure that's a good comparison. Raymond Felton did it 3 times in his career and had a decent NBA career. Devin Harris might be a good comp. He did it 1 year in New Jersey at 26 years old. It was lightning fast, had some similarities. Andrew Harrison ended up out of the league. Killian Hayes ended up out of the league. Trey Jones might be on the verge of being, we'll see where he ends up. He did it 2 years ago in San Antonio. Chris Paul actually did it at 20 and turned out to be one of the 5 greatest point guards of all time. Chris Paul shot 28% his rookie year in the NBA in 2005, 2006, 20 years ago. Gary Payton did it 37. Derrick Rose did it the year after his ACL. Dennis Schroeder, as we mentioned, did it at 24. Marcus Smart did it at 21, shot 25% in Boston. He's had a very good NBA career. He's been a defensive force. Jalen Suggs. Earl Watson did it at 30 and then was out of the league. Russell Westbrook, Marcus Williams, Tony Roten. So, 21 players. Roten, Williams, Killian Hayes, Andrew Harrison. 4 of them turned out to be non-NBA players. Michael Carter Williams, Mario Chalmers did it at 31. It's not a very good comp. Raymond Felton, Dennis Schroeder did it at 24. Marcus Smart, Jalen Suggs, all had pretty viable NBA careers. I think Baron Davis is a bad comp because it was a 30 coming off an ACL, and Russell Westbrook is a bad comp because he did it all plus 30 when he just, I don't know what he does out there. I find him impossible to watch. I feel like there's not enough players there. Oh, Stephen Castle's in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 players because Isaiah Collier and 19 players because Isaiah Collier and Stephen Castle don't really exist. So of the 19 players, Roten, Williams, we'll see Killian Hayes, we'll see on Trey Jones, all 4 of them kind of out, 20%. Michael Carter-Williams, Mario Chalmers, Raymond Felton, Devin Harris, Dennis Schroeder, Marcus Smart, Jalen Suggs, all figured out a way to have a career. So about 40% of them found out a way to have a viable NBA career. So it's not a death knell. But as exciting as that rookie year was, let's just be clear that 25.9%, 24.9% three-point shooting on 150 attempts is truly poor. The only players in the last 20 years in the NBA have taken 150 threes, played point guard, and shot worse where Tony Roten shot 21% his rookie year in Philadelphia. Jalen Suggs shot 21% his rookie year in Philadelphia. And Michael Carter-Williams shot 23.5% his third year when he switched from Philadelphia to Milwaukee, got traded. So in 20 years, Isaiah Collier's 24.9% three-point shooting is the 4th worst three-point shooting of any point guard in the NBA. He's great in a lot of ways. That's got to get fixed. Cooper Flagg is in, plus late game watch next on Locked On Jazz. So Cooper Flagg has announced he's coming into the NBA draft, thankfully. There was a little murmur, they might not. Earlier this year, the comps were Gordon Hayward and Andre Karolinko, and now the comps have changed. According to ESPN, who did a little piece here this week by Jeremy Wu, who I'm a big fan of, their ceiling comp is Kawhi Leonard. Woo, after watching Kawhi last night. 6'7", 227, possible. Like, it's not crazy. Cooper's far advanced, frankly, than where Kawhi was. So some of the Kawhi stuff, by the way, is really the memory. Like, he averaged 20 points a game at San Diego State. He was not an elite shooter. But I also don't think he was terrible. He was 27% from 3 as a college player. Not horrendous. Lamar Odom was the 4th pick of the 99 draft, is another comp that they threw out there. And then the last one's Jason Tatum, which feels, honestly, like it's got a real chance. Duke, whole thing, mid-range game, a lot of it. Collegiate numbers are pretty similar. And then their final comp on Cooper Flagg was Scottie Pippen. And they, of course, then went to the Andre Karolinko card, which we've seen before. But he's just a stronger Andre Karolinko with maybe more offensive skill. It's real. All right, quick game recap notes on the Clippers-Denver game. Turnover battle swung. 1-point game, the turnover battle swung. Denver's getting much better shots in the series. Their QSQ, quantified shot quality, which gives you the quality, is 54% to Clippers 49%. Denver had a huge transition advantage in game 1. Did not this game. They got transition early and never got it again. Here's what's interesting. Denver's pick and roll game yielded nothing except for the Murray Jokic pick and roll game is still great. 1.6 points per Murray Jokic pick and roll. So they still have that they can rely on. The Harden-Zubac pick and roll, which was so good in game one, was down to 1.07, but still pretty good. But Denver's overall pick and roll game yielded nothing other than the Murray-Jokic pick and roll game. So we'll be interested to see how that plays out. That series I just find fascinating personnel-wise, how teams are guarding. There's one common theme in both games last night. Defenses are getting too good and having too many things. If you bring your main ball handler up, bringing the ball up, you're going to get a double. You're going to get a trap off a pick and roll. We're seeing much more of Christian Brown or somebody else bringing the ball up and Murray coming off a pick to catch it and maybe even catch it a little lower so he can get actions with Jokic. And then we saw the same thing on the play of the game in the Detroit-New York game was that Cade Cunningham came off the ball. Dennis Schroeder played point guard. And Cade Cunningham came from off the ball, caught low in the free throw line, got a low pick from Duren, came off the pick, and lobbed it up to Duren for a dunk, which was like the only field goal Detroit had late. What's happening is if you bring your primary ball handler up to start initiating the offense, you're getting doubled right away. They're getting the ball out of their hands. Teams are rotating out. They're doing it far enough off the floor that you're not getting the ball. Offenses are getting so good in the NBA. Players are so good. I'm getting closer to believing you should be doubling every single time in some capacity just to disrupt their offense. Now, most teams, I used to be totally against this. If you've followed me over the years, if you're an everydayer, when everybody started double teaming at 94 feet or 45 feet last year, I thought it was kind of the most insane thing ever. I'm watching right now, and if you just let teams get into their offense, it seems like teams are too good. Cade Cunningham isolation versus OG is not a good answer. For late game watch for Detroit, New York. Cade's an average isolation player. Like if you look at the top 40 isolation players in the NBA, I think he comes out 19th. So him going up to OG is not a great answer. It's interesting. OG did not play a lot of isolation defense this year. This is not something New York did a lot. Very impressive. Two guys who were thought of as very bad defensive players, Malik Beasley and Killian Hayes. Killian Hayes on the brand from Detroit. Malik Beasley and Tobias Harris had very good defense of possessions late in that game. Interesting out of timeout play where they trying to get Beasley the ball. One thing that happens usually in the playoffs is if you're just a standstill three-point shooter and you don't have a drive game, you get deemed useless. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Malik Beasley the rest of the series. He was 2 of 9 last night in 30 minutes, 1 of 8 from 3. He fits into that, and he's been played out of most playoff series he's ever been in. If you are just a spot-up three-point shooter and you do not have a drive game in the NBA playoffs, you usually become deemed no longer viable. You have to be able to put it on the deck a little bit, do a little bit. Christian Brown's running into this a little bit in the Detroit series. Keep an eye on this. This is kind of a very common thing to see is that those type of players, Jabari Smith might be that one in the Houston Warriors series. He doesn't have much of a drive game. He just kind of spots up for 3. Buddy Hield is certainly that player. Those type of players usually do not have good playoffs. It's interesting. So I talked about the bringing Cade off the ball to get it. It was interesting though. What's the risk on this is so it was an interesting sequence. So Cade comes up, he gets doubled. Detroit gets another bad possession. They come out next time out, they run the low pick and roll I'm talking about where Cade gets it, runs the alley-oop to Jalen Duren, and they're doing it with Schroeder bringing them up. The next time up, though, they then can't get Cade the ball. The next 2 times up. Schroeder ends up hitting a dagger 3 that ends up winning the ball game. And then they run a high pick and roll trying to get Cade back, and they get Duren the ball too high. He catches the ball at 16 feet. The value of getting that play low is that then Duren doesn't have to make a decision. So pretty interesting kind of cat and mouse game inside the pick and roll there in the Detroit-New York series. I'll have to talk to someone who follows this closer than I do and understands late game coaching. I was curious with a Thibodeau move with about 8 seconds left in this game. So Detroit leads it by 3 when Schroeder hits the 3. Brunson misses a shot. Then Beasley misses a 3 with 25.8 seconds left. And Bridges gets the rebound with 22.7. And New York has 2 timeouts left, and Tibbs doesn't use one. I feel like in a 3-point game, you've got to use that timeout. It's not entirely clear whether you should shoot a 3 or take a 2. You should do. And to me, that's one of those possessions where you need to have some clarity and use that timeout. Now, they get a Bridges 3 and he misses it for the tie. And Harris rebounds. And then, because they have 2 timeouts, they're able to use one with 8.1 seconds left. And then they're able to use another one with 3.6 seconds left, which gives them the final look. And so maybe that is a better use of timeouts. By not using the timeout at the 25-second mark, this is pretty interesting stuff to me. Hopefully it's to you. So Tibbs has 2 timeouts left with 25.8 seconds left. And my instinct is like, call the timeout. But he doesn't call the timeout. And he gets a timeout with 8.1 seconds left after Schroeder makes the free throw. They're down 4 and he can run a set play. Now he runs a beautiful play and Brunson misses the 3. On the other end, you're down 4 by that point. You might be done anyway. This one's really, I don't know the right answer. He ends up using both timeouts. He uses the other one down 6 with 3.6 seconds left. So to some extent, that's an irrelevant timeout. And he got a good look on Bridges, but I still think at 25 seconds left, you call that timeout. I'm super curious on this one. I'm going to talk to some coaches around the NBA and see what they say about this one. All right, that is Locked On Jazz today. Hope you're enjoying the late game watch from all the playoffs. We'll keep it going. I'm going to start breaking down players. We'll start doing stats. I'm going to build out my whole plan for the next 60 days today and figure it all out, see what we're doing. We'll have a lot of Leaf in there as well. So a lot of fun stuff coming up. It is Locked On Jazz. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. Right now, we send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel, Locked On NBA. Plus, if you haven't checked it out, check out Game Night. Every game, every night on Locked On NBA.